Hi, I hope you're healthy, well, and safe. Does this ever happen to you? You make an effort to improve your spiritual life, to be a better person, a better Jew, and you're good at it. A day, two, three, a week or two, and then comes a bad day. A day when you fail, when you fall, you fail, and you're very disappointed. I'm a faker. The effort is not worth it, etc., etc. It's a mistake. You're not a faker. In this parsha, Parshas Toldos, towards the beginning, we read how our matriarch Rebecca, Rivka, conceives, and the children agitated within her. And she said, "What is this all about?" She went to inquire what's happening to her. What is this? Why is this such a difficult pregnancy? And Hashem said to her, "Two nations are in your womb. Two regimes from your insides shall be separated. The might, the power shall pass from one regime to the other." Ula'im mila'im yamatz, says Rashi. Mila'im yamatz. When one rises, the other one will fall. Basically, there are two nations, there are two regimes that will come from you. She had twins. One was Yaakov, Jacob, our third patriarch, and one was Esau. That represents pretty much the anti-Semite, unfortunately. And our sages explain that eventually from Esau came the nation of Edom, which is associated with Rome, the Roman Empire, which eventually destroyed the Roman Empire with those that destroyed the second Holy Temple in Jerusalem that stood on the Temple Mount. The mystics explain us that this struggle within Rivka, between these two nations, we all have. We all have within ourselves. As the Talmud says, each person has a Yetzer Tov and a Yetzer Hara. Each person has a good inclination and an evil inclination. The Tanya explains further that it's not just one person with two inclinations, but in Tanya, the first chapter, he says, Shein shtei nefashos. There are two souls, like two people in one body. And in chapter 13, in Tanya, he quotes our parsha, that when one rises, the other one falls. Excuse me. So, this is very important to understand. He explains, for instance, in chapter 28, when a Jew is trying to pray. So, you have to understand first the nature of these two souls. The divine soul is literally part of God, and is obviously totally holy and godly and selfless. And the animal soul is just the opposite, is animalistic and selfish and self-centered. And they battle over control over the person's life and his body, constantly. So he explains in Tanya chapter 28, what happens is when a person is praying, he's putting in an effort, a real effort. And, to pray with concentration. And suddenly he gets his thought thrown into his mind. Falls into his mind. Unwanted thoughts, even unclean thoughts. And he becomes disappointed. He says, look, I'm a faker. My prayer is worthless. He said, no, it's a mistake. Just the opposite. You got to understand, he says, this is a struggle. It's like a wrestling match, literally a wrestling match. And we know when he says, when two people wrestle, one is about to win, one is about to throw the other to the ground, Doesn't say that. He says when one is when one is overpowering the other, so the other exerts his greatest effort to also overpower with all his might. They shouldn't fall, right? So he says that's what's happening here. Since you are a good person, you are a good Jew, since you put an effort, you energize your divine soul, and you put an effort to strengthen yourself, to pray with meditation and concentration and dedication, etc. So basically, you're getting the divine soul to win this wrestling match. So comes the animal soul, doesn't want to fall, and he throws you evil thoughts. So you don't prove from here that your prayer is worthless. On the contrary, you are putting effort into your prayer. That's why the animal soul is trying to pull you down. It's trying to trip you. It's trying to throw you to the floor, to make you fall, because you're making him fall. It's a wrestling match. Very, very important to understand. And then he says, just ignore this thought and continue praying, putting in effort and concentration, etc. That's very, very important to understand. That if you're having a bad day, it doesn't mean that yesterday and the last week or the last month you were faking. No, that was real. You were succeeding spiritually. You were growing spiritually. You were strengthening yourself spiritually. That's real. What happens today? Your animal soul woke up, raised its ugly head because it's being beaten and beaten and beaten. So finally he raises his ugly head. But that doesn't mean that yesterday was fake or last month was fake. No. Very, very important to understand. So good luck, everybody, in our spiritual struggle. And I'll conclude very quickly with it's already 7 minutes, 7-minute video. Conclude very quickly with one fellow telling his friend that, how's it going? He says, yeah, I beat him, he beats me, back and forth. The wrestling match, meaning his divine soul and his animal soul. He says, but the last hit of the day is mine. He says, when I'm in bed, I'm about to go to sleep, what's in my mind? Torah, holy thoughts. That's on my mind. The last hit of the day is mine. May God grant us success and help in our spiritual struggle. And may we very soon witness the victory of the cosmic good over the cosmic evil through the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days.